Good morning, everybody. Focus Daily Show. Today, we will be discussing Dred Scott, a landmark decision that changed the landscape permanently, even to today. It was from that point that they officially and legally set precedents for taking the land rights and the birthright of the indigenous children of America. Dred Scott. We're going to watch a little film today, but before we get started, once again, as always, this show is being brought to you by the Most High and His Son, Jesus Christ. It is through me that I am being sent with the truth. It is through them that I am being sent with this truth as a chance for redemption and grace for all. All right, let's get to it, people. Dred Scott. Put your thinking caps on, turn your discernment on, get ready to break down this truth.
St. Louis, Missouri, sometime between 1830 and 1833, Dr. John Emerson, a United States Army surgeon, buys a slave named Dred Scott. Emerson moved around a lot, and he always took Scott with him. In 1836, Emerson moved to Fort Armstrong, Illinois, taking Scott with him, of course. Interestingly, Missouri was a state where...
All right, let's get straight to it. So, Emerson and Scott were actually business partners, but during those times it was more beneficial to claim a slave-owner relationship. So keep that in mind as we move forward.
Slavery was legal, but in Illinois it was not. The next year, Emerson moved again, this time to the territory of Wisconsin, which is now in the state of Minnesota, where slavery was also illegal. While there, Dred Scott...
Now, unfortunately, Dred Scott was a member of the company, the Virginia Company, the American Company, the Disney Corporation, way back then. So he was well aware of what was transpiring in the indigenous land, but he chose to team up with the other side. Now, doing this, apparently he felt that he deserved the same rights as other members of the company, but due to the fact that the company had more nefarious plans, Dred Scott soon found out the truth of his relationship.
Fell in love and married Harriet Robinson, another slave owned by a dude named Lawrence Taliaferro. Emerson ended up moving back to Missouri again shortly after this, leaving Dred and Harriet behind and leasing them out to other Army officers. Well, guess what? Emerson fell in love too. He met a chick named Eliza Irene Sanford, who went by Irene after he moved down to Louisiana for a bit. Hey, I told you he moved around a lot. Emerson married Sanford in Louisiana, and soon after asked Dred and Harriet to join him again. Well, Harriet was pregnant by this time and ended up having the baby on the trip down somewhere between Illinois and Wisconsin in free territory.
All right, bear with us, people. They adding in all the dramatics to draw attention from the truth that's within this. We almost getting there. Hang in here.
Emerson and Scott returned to Missouri a couple years later. John Emerson died in 1843.
Here we go.
And Irene inherited his estates and the Scott family. However, for the next 3 years, Dred and Harriet Scott were hired out to different people. Dred and Harriet first
tried to realign himself with other members of the company, and he sought another business partner to do business with, because he realized he could be more prosperous with a representative from the company than he can representing himself.
But that didn't work. So on April 6, 1846, the Scots, with some help from legal advisors, sued Irene Emerson to obtain freedom from slavery. By this time, they had 2 kids. What's crazy is that the Scots were able to pay for the lawsuit due to the family of Dred Scott's previous owner helping out. The Scots went through 3...
So apparently Dred Scott was prosperous, but to the own detriment of his soul. Shame, Dred Scott, shame.
Lawyers over a 14-month period that ultimately lost the case.
See, people, you got to understand, these heroes that they place before us, they're all actors. They're all part of a bigger script Disney Channel action being played out right in front of us. Soon we will find out all of these major figures were merely actors playing out a script. Let's go.
Technicality. Dred and Harriet Scott could not prove they were actually Irene Emerson's slaves. However, the Scott's lawyers were able to get them a second trial due to a major fire, a cholera epidemic, and several other delays. That trial didn't begin until January 1850. In this trial, they were able to prove that they were Emerson's slaves. The jury favored the Scotts, granting them their freedom. Oh, not so fast, Emerson's lawyers said. After all, Emerson would be losing 4 slaves, worth a lot of money. Her lawyers asked for a new trial, but they were denied. So then they appealed to the Missouri Supreme Court, who reversed the decision, arguing the Scots were still slaves, and they should have sued for freedom when they had the chance, back when they lived in a free state. Well, dang, so the Scots were still slaves. But this saga isn't over yet. Dred Scott sued again on November 2nd, 18...
So slowly, Scott is beginning to realize that his part in this great deception was coming to an end. He became disgruntled. So he attempted to handle it legally in the prescribed method of the company. But soon Scott was to find out, to the own detriment of his soul.
1953, this time in federal court. For this suit, a lawyer named Roswell Field agreed to help
Roswell Field.
Except this time, he wasn't suing Emerson. He was suing her brother, John Sanford, who now claimed ownership of him. Oh, how sweet. She gave him a gift. What a nice sister. Scott also alleged that Sanford assaulted his family. The judge went with Sanford because of the Missouri Supreme Court decision that said the Scots were still slaves. Field was determined to get this one to the Supreme Court, though.
So basically, what this Missouri Supreme Court precedent said was the indigenous children of America, the chosen ones of God, cannot officially be a member or an employee of this company. Even though he connected himself to other members of the company and he was well known within those circles, he could not officially become an employee or a member of the company. So yeah, once again, he was disgruntled.
As he wanted to settle the question, did living in a free state or territory permanently free a slave? The Supreme Court agreed to hear the case, but not until February 1856. Keep in mind, this is 10 years after the Scots first sued for freedom.
Also keep in mind that even though Scott wasn't allowed to officially be a member of the company, he still was able to help them execute nefarious plans against the birthright of the children of God, the land of the children of God, and against also their souls. Once again, sending us into a whirlpool to the pits of hell. We lost sight of God, people. Once again, my show presents history in order that we can see and realize how we fell from grace, how we turned our backs on God as a people. Now, to learn more on that story, you have to open up this book. This is where the real truth lies, people. All I'm doing is presenting it in a historical type form. But this is what's going to save us, people. Start reading. Don't wait until it's too late. He's on his way.
Dred officially filed this time with the implication his family would be freed as well if they sided with him. It became known as Dred Scott v. Sanford. Wait, Sanford? Yep, even though John Sanford's name was,
the land.
Sanford. A clerk misspelled his name in court records, and it stayed that way. The Supreme Court justices argued the case multiple times the rest of the year, finally giving a decision on March 6, 1857. The court ruled 7 7-2 in favor of Sanford. One final...
Shame, Supreme Court. See, the Supreme Court realized that this was an opportunity to legally, once again, set precedent over land laws and land rights, or sand, as they called it.
Dred Scott and his family were denied their freedom. The court ruled that Scott's case shouldn't have even been heard under the Constitution, as Scott was not a citizen. It also declared the Missouri Compromise unconstitutional.
Okay, we'll get into the vocabulary later, but at this point, citizen means employee or member of the company. If you are a member of the company, you officially become a citizen. So Dred Scott was not officially a member of the company, but he aligned himself with the company.
Because Congress lacked the power to ban slavery in U.S. territories. It was only the second time the court had ruled something the Congress did unconstitutional. Justice Roger Taney wrote the majority opinion. Quote, in the opinion of the court, the legislation and histories of the times, and the language used in the Declaration of Independence show that neither the class of persons who had been imported as slaves nor their descendants, whether they had become free or not, were then acknowledged as a part of the people, unquote. Dang,
there you go, right there. Use your discernment.
Also ruled slaves as, quote, property, adding that the Fifth Amendment prevents Congress from taking property away from individuals without just compensation. Although Taney hoped...
So not only did this set legal precedent about land rights and land ownership, it also helped to subvert the indigenous people mind to accepting that they were merely slaves, accepting being in captivity, similar to the story of Egypt in the Bible. So, although slavery had been outlawed, they would begin to put on this elaborate show to disillusion the minds of the people. And it went from Supreme Court on down to the average citizen. Everybody played their role. And although Dred Scott seems to be losing this case, because he went along with this deception, he was granted immortal fame in history. We still talk about Dred Scott till today. Let's go.
Hope this ruling would finally settle the slavery controversy. It actually just made things worse. It even caused one justice, Benjamin Robbins Curtis, to quit the court. The anti-slavery movement in the North grew much bigger due to this ruling. The decision further divided the country, proving to be a major cause of the Civil War. Many historians say...
So there you have it, people. That one court decision eventually led to the Civil War, which led to this new form of fiat currency that is based upon the souls of the people. We got a little bit more to go, but pay attention to that. That's an intricate part to where we're going in the future of this show.
What is more commonly known as the Dred Scott decision is the worst Supreme Court ruling in American history. They especially like to talk trash about Roger Taney, who comes across as a horrible racist with this one.
There you go.
Following the Civil War, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, as well as the Civil Rights Act of 1866, all directly overturned the decision. However, Dred Scott never lived to see that. Although it's not completely a sad ending for him and his family, the Scots were freed.
So they got something called the Hegelian dialect. That method was in use in them times. Google that, because I don't know the exact steps, but I understand it. And ultimately, their plans were to ratify these additional amendments to the laws of the land. But they had to do it in a dramatic fashion so the world could pay attention.
Anyway, just a couple months after the Supreme Court's decision, Scott got a job working at a St. Louis hotel where he actually made money. Unfortunately, though, he didn't get long to enjoy his freedom, as he died the next year.
What good is all the money in the world you lose your soul. The wages of sin are death. All right, there you have it, Dred Scott. I hope I made that simple for everyone. Another episode of the Focus Daily Show. We out.